When a senior senator accuses the U.S. Secretary of State of breaking the law, and he fires back live, denying everything, you know Washington has crossed into new territory. In a fiery Senate Appropriations hearing, Senator Patty Murray accused Secretary Marco Rubio of outright illegal acts, from freezing foreign aid funds to dismantling USAID, actions she claimed defied bipartisan appropriation laws. Rubio, visibly frustrated, dismissed almost every charge as false, insisting his office had conducted over 600 briefings and that nothing he'd done was illegal. What unfolded wasn't just political sparring. It was a battle over who controls America's foreign policy purse: Congress or the executive branch.
Secretary Rubio, I am deeply concerned that you have overseen a systemic campaign to dismantle USAID, impound billions of dollars that this committee actually provided, and unilaterally remake the Department of State without the slightest bit of concern that you lack the authority to do that without Congress. It has created chaos, it's caused preventable deaths across the globe, and it has undermined American leadership. Sadly, disregard for our laws and values, to me, has sort of become a pattern of your tenor, revoking visas when someone writes an op-ed you don't like, or reaching a secret deal to use taxpayer dollars to jail U.S. residents in a notorious foreign prison, no due process, or pointlessly leaving food assistance to rot in storage. Actually, in Dubai, we now have 500 tons of high-energy biscuits that expire in July. They're bought, they're shipped, they're stored, all at taxpayer expense. Now, another pattern that I'm deeply worried about is transparency. We have pressed you for information. Our staffs have sent you countless emails and briefing requests so we can do our job here. There are hundreds of unanswered requests and no effort to address them. And Mr. Secretary, that's got to change. And to my colleagues on both sides, this is the moment to decide whether this committee continues to be a powerful bipartisan force, a force that I think we've all been proud of for a very long time, a force that is focused on safety and economic strength and national security, focused on leading the world in research and development and countering China and others with our soft power and our military power. Every single member of this committee knows what we are risking by letting this administration tear down so much. On USAID and other programs, we can always talk about how we can make things work better and other reforms. I don't think any of us are opposed to any of those considerations. We have been doing that in a bipartisan way for a long time. But that's not actually what Trump's fiscal year 2026 budget proposes. Now, Mr. Secretary, I know you would like to give a 5-minute speech back to me, but I only have a few seconds left, and I do need some information from you. As I said, we have asked and have not gotten. Can you tell me, will you share the text and details with my staff of your agreement with El Salvador and any other similar arrangements, including the funding details that we need to have?
Well, first of all, I'd like to respond to your 7-minute speech, which is primarily, I disagree like 99% of it. It's just not true. We've done nothing that's illegal. We've been in over 600 briefings to Congress. We've asked questions. We've answered questions repeatedly. We get hundreds of questions a day. We respond them as quickly as possible. And your characterization of the moves that we made
Mr. Secretary, I would
false.
just tell you, we are here because we need the information so that we can write our budget and on a bipartisan.
Well, you'll have the information you need to write a budget.
Okay, so will we get the details on the El Salvador arrangement? Yes or no?
Well, which Salvador arrangement? Are you
Your agreement that you've made with them about.
Well, what agreement? The president of El Salvador agreed to take in 250 gangbangers, and we sent them.
Funding details we have not gotten. We need to see what the costs are.
Well, we haven't funded that. We've provided them law enforcement assistance. I know you just claimed that we cut all this law enforcement assistance. We provided El Salvador and other countries law enforcement assistance. They have the right to spend that money any way they wish. But they did us a big favor. They took 250 dangerous trained out. We didn't deport any U.S. residents. No U.S. residents were reported.
I'm not going to argue with you on that point.
Well, there's not an argument, but don't say we deported U.S. residents because we didn't. I don't deport anybody.
I'm not asking.
But we didn't deport U.S. residents.
I'm asking you whether we can see the details of the arrangements, including the funding details.
I'm giving you the details. The arrangements are we provide law enforcement funding to El Salvador. Salvador, among other countries. How they choose to spend that money internally is up to
I take that as a
them.
no. How
But I
about-
can tell you,
Can you give me the details on the 200-plus offices you're proposing to
Sure, we've
eliminate?
provided that.
We need that. Can I get your commitment to
sure, of
give us
course.
those?
It's part of our reorg.
How about the details and justifications of your proposed rescissions from programs you claim are out of alignment with administration priorities? Are we going to get the details of that, funding priorities?
On rescissions and impoundment and things of this nature, that's obviously an OMB function, and I would talk to them about that in regard to what's going to go on with that money. I can tell you the contracts we canceled, and I can list to you the contracts we canceled and the rationale why, because I went through them
Can you get
myself.
those to us, like, today? So
The contracts?
Yes, and the funding arrangements that you've made. That's what I'm asking for.
Funding arrangements with who?
For any of the rescissions, for any of the funding, for any of the multiple congressional directives that you have given out, so that we, as an appropriations committee, can make our funding decisions.
Sure, you're going to have all that information
you.
when you
I
put together a
appreciate
budget.
Thank you. I enjoyed that.
This confrontation echoes Watergate-era oversight battles, when Congress reasserted control over executive power through the very Impoundment Control Act she cites. It also mirrors Iran-Contra, where secret funding defied congressional authority, and the Benghazi hearings, where bureaucratic mismanagement became political theater. Each case turned on one principle: who gets to decide how America spends its money abroad? Murray plays the institutionalist, defending Congress's constitutional power of the purse. Her argument is procedural but emotionally charged. If secretaries can reroute billions without consent, oversight collapses. Rubio frames himself as the pragmatic reformer, painting critics as stuck in old bureaucratic silos. His calm confidence appeals to those weary of Washington red tape, but it risks sounding cavalier about legality. This wasn't a left-right fight so much as a philosophical collision between legislative oversight and executive ambition. Both claim to defend American leadership, but one emphasizes accountability, the other efficiency. Murray's most powerful line comes when she asks, "Are we going to stand up, push back, assert our constitutional power of the purse?" It's less a question to Rubio than to America itself. Because when aid freezes, it's not abstract. It's vaccines delayed, food shipments stalled, lives disrupted. Her outrage speaks to a deeper fear, that the rule of law can quietly erode under bureaucratic language. Rubio's dismissal, "You'll have the information when you write the budget," may have satisfied procedure, but it underscored the widening gap between political accountability and public trust.